tonight. Just moments ago, actually, a federal appeals court ruled most of President Trump's tariffs are illegal. The court is saying the president exceeded his authority in imposing those levies. There's a catch, though, in this ruling. Correspondent David Spunt has details tonight, breaking just minutes ago. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening. The catch is that the tariffs can stay in place until October 14th. That's when the mandate from the circuit court, the federal circuit court appeals decision, actually kicks in. This was a 127-page decision that just came down within the last 30 minutes. We're reading it, but it finds that most of the president's tariffs are unconstitutional. This was published to the public docket, as I said, within the last few minutes. Now, the panel found that the tariffs on nearly every country were not authorized, Brett, by the International Emergency Economic Powers Act and therefore are illegal. The court writing today unanimously, the statute bestows significant authority on the president to undertake a number of actions in response to a declared national emergency. But none of these actions explicitly include the power to impose tariffs, duties, or the like, or the power to tax. Now, arguments were recently held in Washington, D.C. This gives the administration the green light to go directly here to the U.S. Supreme Court, which we expect
he is. Donald Trump was just spotted on Saturday morning looking deeply unwell. The White House says he's doing great and he's looked better than ever. But as I zoom in on this photo, that's not what I'm seeing right now. As you all know, Donald Trump did not have a public appearance since about Wednesday. He's been trying to cover up that hand of his, which is decomposing before our eyes. Those ankles of his are so inflamed. The White House was saying that it was just a minor issue, although many have been speculating it's something far more serious. And again, he looks deeply unwell this morning in the photo that's being released. Contrast that with the photo of former President Biden from this morning as well with his granddaughters. You see him right there. Great beach day with two of my favorite humans. That's from Ashley Biden's post right there. And you can see that former President Biden looking very healthy, and he's actually the one who's transparently told the country what he's going through. Similarly, you have California Governor Gavin Newsom posting the following: "Have a great Labor Day weekend, Patriots. God bless the working people who make America great." I mean, just contrast that photo of what Gavin Newsom posted to how Donald Trump looks this morning. You know what? In fact, you don't have to do that because Governor Newsom did that for us. He put a side-by-side photo of himself and Donald Trump. Governor Gavin Newsom just called Donald Trump America's biggest loser after the Court of Appeals ruled that Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal. Now, in addition to Donald Trump looking and presenting physically sickly, frail, and weak, he also is behaving physically frail and weak. I mean, his behavior towards Vladimir Putin is nothing short of a nuclear bootlicker. It's really an embarrassing thing to be an American and watching Donald Trump's handling of this, turning the United States into like a Soviet satellite, not standing with our allies, not being the leader of the free world, not defending Ukraine. I've been covering a ton the ultimate betrayal by this Trump regime to Ukraine, but Ukraine is working with Europe and fighting on.
This is Ohio, at Republican Congressman Warren Davidson's town hall meeting. That's a state that voted for Donald Trump by more than 11 points last year. We'll let you hear what his voters think of his vote on Donald Trump's signature domestic spending bill.
The big, beautiful bill is projected to take Medicaid away from as many as 500,000 people. How will you explain your vote to the people who will no longer be able to afford to see their doctor?
As I said early on, the only people who are losing access to Medicaid aren't affected in Ohio because we didn't add illegals to Medicaid coverage. And able-bodied working-age adults. And I honestly think most of them will still keep access to Medicaid because they'll probably get a job or they'll probably go to school. And lots of people are hiring, so I think most of them aren't going to lose anything. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. Like, nobody thinks that's the case, that it's, quote, going to be great. Now, those voters were so done with him, they filed out while he was still speaking.
Cleared our permit twice. Today, so we're being kicked out by National Park Services. You can see right here our 2 tents. Let me show you. This is our 2 tents, our tables, all of our veterans. We have a lot of veterans, a lot of volunteers here. And we have a permit to be here. And Park Police has cleared our permit twice. Today, National Park Services, which is separate from Park Police, it's National Park Services, showed up. And they're being very nitpicky about details in the permit that nobody told us had to be very specific. And they waited till today to do it because now we can't go back and make these minor amendments to the permit until Tuesday when they reopen. So we're now being kicked out of our location right here until we can go in on Tuesday and amend our permit. And bear in mind, Park Police has cleared our permit multiple times already, twice in the last couple of days, and then of course when we first started. And so this is just them fucking with us. Let's just call it what it is. This is us being fucked with because we're making noise, because what we're doing is sending out hope, and people are showing up in large numbers and joining us. And so now they're fucking with us. But we'll just move our stuff down here and we'll join with the Flare tents, which is where we started on Monday with Flare tents. Flare is for Liberation and Resistance Everywhere. It's another organization that has some pre-permitted tents down there. We'll join them until Tuesday. We'll change our amend our permit. We'll set back up here, and we'll probably get kicked out again eventually. This is how it looks when you protest, when you conduct acts of civil disobedience. The system fights back against you. But here we are. Let me give you guys an update right quick.
To serve as the 20th
you hear that?
of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
So 8 hours ago, we started playing this speech for the National Guard.
Up here on this stage.
And now, 8 hours later, we're still playing it. We've been playing it all day long. It's General Milley's speech reminding our America's military what we took an oath to remember your oath.
Among the world's
and I want you to listen to what he says right here.
Unique among the world's military.
Listen.
We don't take an oath to a country. We don't take an oath to a tribe. We don't take an oath to a religion. We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. We don't take an oath to an individual. We take an oath to the Constitution.
8 hours.
The idea that is America.
8 hours I've been playing this and I ain't stopping. As long as they're here,
the United States of America,
General Milley's here.
Which is the moral.
Of course, Trump's not dead. On the other hand, how could you be certain?
Together, the labor movement that brings white folks, Asians, that brings brown folks together. This is the city that said keep hope alive, the city that birthed yes we can, and the city that will defend this country. God bless you all.
To resist those who have always tried to divide us. So today, on
How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not bad.
It's time for the trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. Trucker John. There's the old man. Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see. Can everybody hear me? Are we on? Test, test, test. Let's see. There's the old man. Yeah, okay, all right. So there I am. Good morning, everybody. 11:36 a.m. Pacific time zone. From beautiful Las Vegas, we're already at 99 degrees. We'll get to 107 today. I didn't know we were going to get that hot, but here we go. On this Labor Day. Are you guys laboring today? Who's in labor? Anyone in labor today? Sometimes that happens. I'm sure there are some people in labor today. Anybody got a birthday today? Were you born on Labor Day? Anyhow, I am unable to scroll back to the beginning. It won't let me to the chat. So I'm picking up where Anna Moore is here. So Anna Moore, good to see you. And Anna Moore is saying hello to James Jaramillo. Just to give you a reference point, that's where I'm starting off in the chat today. And got Michael McAndrews is here. Nick Rich is in the chat room. Gin Up the Bass is here. And Roxanne79. They are both here in the chat room together virtually. See how that works? Josh Sees is here. Good to see Josh Sees. And there's Nick Rich and everyone else. So before I scroll down, just to address a couple of things in the intro there. I guess some good news about the tariffs being declared illegal and unconstitutional. Hopefully, they're going to, I guess, appeal it, the Trump administration, to the Supreme Court. I think it's kind of a coin toss. I don't know if it's an automatic thing where the Supreme Court will rule in favor of Trump. I think it's kind of a coin toss because I guess we're really testing on how far the John Roberts court is willing to sell themselves out, which I know. As I'm saying that, I'm like, yeah, they're all sellouts. All the Republicans on there on the Supreme Court are a bunch of sellouts. But so we'll see how that goes. And Trump, of course, he looks like shit. Has he made an appearance yet? I mean, there's definitely something wrong. That motherfucker is in front of a camera and a microphone every goddamn day. And so there's definitely something wrong. They're keeping him, behind closed doors and whatever. So we'll see how that goes. Michael says it's up to Congress. It's not the emergency Trump claims. His con job will never fly. I hope so. I hope it never flies. Let's see. And I did have a couple of little memes I wanted to post today. Maybe we'll touch on some of those. Here's one here I like. Let's see. Now this is pretty horrible. Look at this picture of this poor kid who did pass away after this was taken. This is from back in the the 40s or whatever. And so this is touching on RFK Jr. and what a fucking idiot RFK Jr. is. I mean, and what he wants to do, what he wants to bring us back to. We've had what was it, smallpox? We've had smallpox and chickenpox, and we've been able to keep the flu pretty well under control. We've eradicated so many diseases over the past 60, 70, 80 years. And this motherfucker, RFK Jr., wants to bring this back. Thanks to Donald Trump. Thanks to all the fucking idiots that voted for him. This is what we're going into. Let that sink in. It says, please reevaluate your voting choices before you get us all killed. And it just sort of is infuriating, isn't it? It's fucking infuriating. We've got a fucking moron like RFK Jr., fucking worm-brained motherfucker running our health department, and this is what we're going to get back. This is what we're bringing back. Thanks, maggots. Thanks, dipshit Americans that voted for this. We could have had Kamala Harris, and we wouldn't be going through any of this right now. You know what we would be going through right now if Kamala Harris was president? We would be going through continued economic growth like we've never seen in this country. We would be. It just makes your mind your brain, your head want to explode to think of where we would be if, God damn it, if we had just gotten Kamala Harris in there. We wouldn't be going through any of this. This is all fucking self-inflicted. All this shit we're going through right now is self-inflicted. Because people didn't vote or people voted the wrong way. I'm sick and goddamn tired of it. This is infuriating. I hope that the American people will finally wake up. And we do see some signs of life, some signs of hope in these couple special elections where Democrats have flipped seats and heavily, red districts, or at least districts that voted for Trump by big numbers. We've seen a couple of those, so that gives us some hope, at least for 2026. But in the meantime, every day that goes by, every single day that goes by, assholes like this motherfucker, RFK Jr., and the other guy next to him there, Trump, every fucking day, we've got to go through some fucking bullshit. We've got to dodge another bullet. Other than that, I have no opinion. Let me go through the chat, see if I can say hi to more people. I know that I missed a lot of the opening chats there, so I apologize if I didn't see you. Jennifer Day says, Trucker John, happy Labor Day, TJ and Loungers. Same to you. Right back at you. Jennifer Day says, Trucker John 3, we are tens of subscribers away from smoking the dandelion on live. Yeah, look at there. I just noticed we're up to over 3,970. Just on the last show, we were still in the 3950s. So we've gotten about 20 subscribers, I guess, since the last show, which was on Saturday. So thank you very much to all the new subscribers. I do appreciate you. And in case you didn't know, we made a little deal. I don't know how I got wrangled into this deal. I think it might have been Kim Chi or somebody. I don't know. Someone wrangled me into this challenge or whatever, that when we hit 4,000 subscribers, I will go and pluck a dandelion out of some place, some patch of grass somewhere in a park. Hopefully I'll find one that hasn't been, pissed on and shit on. Of course, I will rinse it off. And I'm going to eat the dandelion live on a live stream as soon as we hit 4,000. And that's what Jen is talking about. So if you're a new subscriber, maybe you didn't know that. Yeah, we're less than 30 away from that happening. So if you want to see some stupid old guy eat a dandelion, then maybe subscribe. But anyhow, as Jen says, he says, TJ, we are tens of subscribers away from smoking the dandelion. I'm not smoking it. I never said I was smoking it. Anyhow, on a live stream, I'm getting very excited and planning out my outfit and menu for the special occasion. There you go. Jen of the Base is a planner. Jen of the Base likes to plan things and be festive for the occasion. Absolutely. Michael McAndrews says, I'm a 67-old fart. I look like a kid sometimes, though. That's good, I think, right? There's Damon Dog. Michael McAndrews, I feel like I'm 24. Why, just the other day, I don't know. I guess he fell or something. Or he's burping. All kinds of stuff going on with Michael today. Nick Rich, 20 past the hour. So I'm 26 minutes behind you in the chat. I'm 26 minutes behind the most recent chat posted. But that's the nature of the show. That's the nature of the biz here. I could just skip down and skip all these if you guys want me to. But anyhow. Jenna Bay says, Michael McAndrews, I'm 58 and look like a kid when I'm surrounded by octogenarians. David Dog, I'll be 61. Everyone is talking about their age today. And I did kind of open the show asking if there was any birthdays today. David Dog says, I'll be 61. It's weird being the same age as old people. Dude, I will be 65. I will be 65 in a couple months here. That's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Damon Dog says, I'll join you, Nick, as soon as I'm finishing holding the basket of laundry. I guess that was something like weed related, I think. Michael McAndrews says, if I make it to 70, then maybe I'll be grown up. Don't ever grow up. Just stay young at heart. Or whatever, whatever they say. And here's Adam Moore coming in with, as long as you're young at heart and take care of yourself, age is just a number. Unfortunately, age is not just a number. Believe me, we can take care of ourselves, and some people can be pretty fit, but you'll never be like you were when you were 30 ever again. If you're 60 or 70, you can be the most physically fit motherfucker in the world for your age or whatever, but you will never be what you were when you were 25 or 30 or 32. I mean, at least maybe I just speak for myself. I definitely, how they always said like your physical prime, at least for a man, maybe it's different for women, but is like 30 between like basically that window. There's like a 4-year window there between 28 and 32. That's what I always heard. And for me, it was absolutely true. The best shape I've ever been in my life, the best looking, the best feeling health-wise was in that 28 to 32 window for me. And if there was a magic pill or a magic genie or a magic something that I could go back to as far as just not time traveling. See, some people get that confused when you say if I could go back or whatever. I'm not talking about time travel. I'm just talking about magically transforming my body to stay in the year 2025. But if I could just magically transform my health and my body, my condition, everything else to somewhere in that 28 to 32 age, probably, and for me, probably specifically, probably 30, 31, probably the best for me. I would do that. I mean, that would be what I would do. I would wish to be that physically that age and that condition and that health that I was in at around 30 or 31. That's what I would do. So if there's any genies out there that can grant a wish, that would be one of my. I guess you get 3, so that would be one of my wishes. Anyhow, getting silly today. Let's see. We got Nick Ridge. Has ICE been seen in Vegas? Yeah, they have. There were some stories about ICE. I haven't seen anything really too crazy in the news about it, but there were some stories about ICE. But I think they've been pretty low key. I don't think I've seen anything. Are we having audio problems? Let me see. Test. Hello. But I think okay. This is an old. I'm good. I'm 20 minutes behind. Michael thought there was something wrong with the audio, but maybe it's because that was during that still photo of the weekend at Bernie's type of thing. Weekend at Trump's. There was no audio during that. That was just a still photo that I stuck in there because I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. And you know me, I like to do the funny every now and then. MJ Daniel from up there in Washington State says this fucking psycho administration and GOP exceeds their authority daily. Absolutely. They are an outlaw? Is that how you say it? Administration. Alton Gillespie's here. Hey, Alton, good to see you. Thanks for coming on into the old driver's lounge. I do appreciate you. On this beautiful Labor Day. Chris Doug is here. Says, yes, we can survive Trump and move on. We better, huh, Chris? We sure as hell better survive or else we're just fucked. Chris Doug says $8 trillion in tariffs. Did you get your check yet? No, I'm waiting for the check. You know what, man? I hope he does. I hope Trump does send us a $5,000 check. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna all of a sudden start kissing his ass. Anna Moore says, no kidding, at the intro that president's tariff are illegal. Yeah, they are. So they ruled. And of course, I knew that. I was even talking about that before this ruling came down. Me, good old Trucker John who doesn't really know shit. I was saying that these were illegal. There was no emergency. This doesn't meet that emergency act that he was claiming. It was all bullshit. MJ Daniel says we need a Democratic majority to impeach these corrupt Supreme Court Republicans. Yeah, none of that stuff we talk about. Impeach this, impeach that. It won't happen until we get those Democratic majorities that we. That's sort of step number one, Josh Sees is headed off to the showers. Nick Rich says Dark Brandon is so cool. I've seen that photo, the photo with Ashley, and another one. And I saw another photo with just him and Ashley. And for a guy that's going, I guess he's still going under treatment. Biden. I don't know. I don't know the scheduling. Sometimes they start and stop. Sometimes I don't know if he was doing radiation. I don't know what he was doing, but right, because he's undergoing cancer treatment. Sometimes they'll do it for a while, then they'll stop, and then they'll go back and do it some more. They see if it's taking or whatever, and they give him a break because it's a pretty tough thing. My dad went through that radiation and all that shit. But he looks fucking good. He looks pretty good, doesn't he? I mean, Trump would wish he looked that good, So for a guy that's going through cancer treatment and he's 80, whatever he is, Joe Biden's looking pretty good at least in those pictures. Now he could drop dead tomorrow, and the cancer could get him. I think he still has the cancer going, but he's looking good. It's kind of like my dad. My dad was going through cancer treatments for I think a couple of years. Well, maybe not the whole 2 years, but like I said, they would do like 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and then they stop for a while, then they go back, and then they do something else, and then go back to the radiation. They kind of switch it up. But my dad looked pretty fucking healthy all the way to the end. It was amazing. Like, you wouldn't know the guy was dying of cancer. You wouldn't have known it. He looked pretty healthy and strong. My dad was a big, healthy looking guy. He was healthy except for the goddamn cancer. If it wasn't for that, my dad would probably still be alive today in his 80s, right? He'd be in his 80s. He'd be like 86, I think, something like that, if he was still alive. But so I guess I went off on a tangent there. But the point is, Joe Biden is looking really good, and he's going through a lot. Trump, on the other hand, looks like shit. Looks like fucking death warmed over. And we have not seen Trump. I don't think this has been, other than that one photo that came out. There's obviously something going on. Where's Jake Tapper? Where the fuck is Jake Tapper, who was so goddamn concerned about Joe Biden's health and coming out with a book talking about this cover up about his health and all this bullshit? Where the fuck are you now, Jake Tapper? Where the fuck are you now, motherfucker? You should be in the front and center talking about Trump's health now. You should be exposing the Trump cover-up now, you motherfucker. So sick and tired of this goddamn double standards and all this bullshit. And still playing favorites with Trump to this day. And it's just infuriating. I think the word of the day is infuriating on this beautiful Labor Day. Let's see what else I got here. Where'd I leave off? Gillespie says, I'm getting ready to paint a giant happy face on the back of my truck. All right then. Sounds like fun. Anna Moore says, Trump is a legend in his own mind, as Clint Eastwood would say. MJ Daniels said, DJT is just fine. Healthiest president ever, in quotations, yeah. Nick Rich says, maggots aren't happy with losing their health care and their jobs. Well, fuck around and find out, right? Bonnie Balcom has become a driver. Thank you, Bonnie. Yippee to Bonnie. Welcome to the club. Welcome to being a membership. We do have memberships, folks. If you want to become a member, starting at as low as $1.99 per month. I think that's pretty good value. So if you'd like to support the show a little more and by becoming a member, that's one way of doing it. And Bonnie did that. Thank you very much, Bonnie. I do appreciate you. I think we've got 70 or 80 or maybe or 90 members now. I'm sure. The number kind of fluctuates. So like some of those drop off if they were like gifted, and then people don't renew it. So we're usually right around 80, I think. Maybe if we get over 100 members, that'd be nice. Chris Doug says Xi, Putin, and Modi met and are laughing at Trump's stupidity, weakness, and impending expiration. Yeah, I was seeing that if you guys listen to Jake Bro, I highly recommend. And I was watching his video yesterday, and he was talking about because Stoops. I'm going to start calling Trump Stoop from now on. You know what? That just gave me a flashback. I remember I was in junior high, and I created in my art class. I had an art class, and we made one of the assignments was to make a comic strip, and I made these characters, and I made a comic strip, and I made a few. I wonder if I still have. I'm sure it's in a box somewhere, where I made a couple of comic strip things, and one of the characters' names was Stoop, and I completely forgot about that until just this moment. I had a character called Stoop because he was stupid. And it was about this little comic strip was about this guy who just was really stupid and said stupid shit. Anyhow, so I'm going to start calling Trump Stoop. Everyone seems to have their own little nickname. Like 21st century, they call him Dinky. Everyone says stuff. I'm just gonna. So if I ever refer to Stoop, that will be what I'm talking about Trump. So anyhow, Stoop. What was I saying about Stoop? Oh yeah. How Stoop, because of his stupid policies, is chasing off people like Modi from India, and now they've got to do business with fucking Russia, and that wouldn't happen if it weren't for Trump's stupid, idiotic, fucking economic policies. Anyhow, MJ Daniel says every one of these fucking Republicans is a huge asshole. Maybe stop fucking voting for them. Yes. Hopefully there's some light bulbs going off in some of these right wingers' heads. The people that vote for Republicans. Hopefully there's some light bulbs going off. You know? Hopefully, but I don't know. Chris Doug says, celebrate Labor Day by destroying the economy and causing inflation and unemployment. Well done, Team MAGA. Yep. Hey, we got a $4.99 super sticker from Steven Sayers. Yippee, Steven Sayers. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. You got that thumbs up and you got the heart there for me. Thank you so much to help support the show, keep us going and keep us growing. I always appreciate you for doing that. Christine Weiler says, we the people have the power to overthrow this tyranny. Let's come together right now over somebody else. Not over me, but over someone else. Bonnie Malcolm says Trump is really just the Trojan horse for all this evil crap. Nick Rich, 1136. So I'm, what the hell am I? 24 minutes. I'm 24 minutes behind the most recent chat. Old man, take a look at yourself. Okay. There I am. I'm just kind of scrolling down. What's everyone else? Roxanne says, hey, Mr. Spock is here. Living long and prosper. Oh, living long and a prosper. I don't know if you can see it because I got the thing over. There we go. Wait, there. There we go. All right, so there's that stupid meme. Maybe we'll talk about something different. Here's one here I saw. Here's just a reminder. Talking about RFK Jr. again. It's going to get me off on another rant here, but says, remember RFK, did I say JFK? Remember that RFK Jr. is not a doctor. He's not a scientist. He has zero scientific literacy. He is not qualified to make any assertions about vaccines, disease, pediatrics, hospital parking, even. Nothing. He is a fraud. RFK Jr. is a fraud. He's a fucking moron. He has no business being the head of our health services. None whatsoever. So that's that meme. And that's true. Bonnie Malcolm with a $4.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. Super chat. Yippee going out to Bonnie Malcolm. Thank you so much. Bonnie says, happy Labor Day to all the moms out there. Thank you, Bonnie. I always appreciate contributions from everybody, and just appreciate you all for being here. Robert Perez from down San Diego way is here. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Robert says, yo, Trucker John, happy Labor Day to you and all trucklers out and about. Right back at you, brother. Right back at you. Let's see. I'm just kind of scrolling down here through the chat a little bit here. Damon Dog says, even if they do away with the tariffs, prices won't come back down. I don't know about that. I do not know about that. Roxanne says, I heard he was at Walter Reed today. I guess I was asking, has anyone seen Trump today? And then because Christina said, no, not yet, John. I think that's what that was in response to. And then Roxanne79 was saying that she heard he was at Walter Reed today. Search for You says they're probably drugging him so they can take over. I keep hitting the table. I'm sorry. I think every time I do that, it probably makes a noise on the mic. I'm trying not to hit the table, but I've hit it like 3 times in the last 2 seconds, and it's pissing me off. I'm pissing myself off. I'm going to go off on myself in a minute here. Anyhow, Christina Weibel says, I like the way Hal puts it. It's one big scam just to give himself a tax break. That's all Trump does is think about himself. He is the most fucking selfish person I've ever seen in my life. You know, it's one thing to be selfish in regular life or whatever, but this motherfucker controls like everything he does and everything he says. It's on it's on a world fucking platform. And so everything he does, it touches the lives of millions and millions and millions of people. And that's why, I say he has blood on his hands. He's responsible for killing millions and millions of people because of his stupidity and the way he handles things. It's just so disheartening, Susie Jones is here. Hello, Susie. Good to see you. DPD 5844 is here. Hey, DPD. Good to see you. It says I saw on the Midas Touch Network, someone was seen throwing out large black garbage bags out the window at the White House. What was that? Were those full of top secret documents? Or were they full of, who knows, diapers? Dirty diapers? Bonnie Balcom says New Mexico found a workaround to RFK's anti-vax crap. Well, that's good. If that's working, maybe other states can emulate that. Paul Burrows is here. Hey, Paul Burrows, good to see you. Paul Burrows says, just got back to Lewiston from doing a 200-mile turn and burn to St. Marie's and back. Paul Burrows, one of our active current truck drivers in the chat there. So good on you, Paul, helping to keep America going, keeping those products, getting them into the stores. Or whatever it is you're hauling. Whatever it is you're hauling, I'm sure it's benefiting Americans. Because that's what truck drivers do. They keep America rolling through thick and thin, through the good times and through the bad times. Truck drivers are there, and when you see one, and even if you see one that maybe cut you off or something you didn't like the way, I think most of the drivers are good. Roxanne 79, I have a barbecue to go to at 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's coming up. So we'll have a good barbecue. Today's a good day to do it. Got the 3-day weekend. Thank you, unions. That's probably something that the unions fought for. So not only be thankful for your truck drivers, but be thankful for your unions that got us things like holidays and holiday pay and overtime and weekends and a fucking 8-day an 8-hour work day instead of a 16-hour work day or a 12-hour work day, 6 days a week. Thank God that these fucking old-timey oligarchs at least had the the illusion of being Christian, and so they at least didn't work them on Sundays. You know, at least they got one day off before the union movement. Probably not even then a lot of times, but you know, just be thankful of that on this Labor Day. Thank your unions that you've got a fucking Labor Day, that you've got a fucking holiday. And if you do work today, if you're working a union job or maybe even a non-union job that was influenced by unions, you might be getting some holiday pay today. And if you're working over 8 hours, you're getting overtime. Thank your unions for that. Because do you think the government would do that? Do you think, especially any type of right-wing led government, would do anything about, you know, making it a law just on their own to pay you overtime if you worked over 8 hours a day? You think so? You think they would be all paying you time and a half for holiday pay? And on, like, when I was in the union, if we worked, I think there was a couple times, I think Christmas, for sure, Christmas, if you worked Christmas Day, I think you got double time. And in fact, I worked graveyard shift. We got nighttime differential. Then if you work Sundays, we got Sunday differential. Well, all that was a little bump, an extra 10%, an extra 25%, stuff like that. All that kind of shit. Thank you very much, union. Thank you, fucking unions. You couldn't thank the Republicans for that, or anyone. You got to thank your fucking unions for that. Thank you so much, unions. All the years that I was working overtime, and I was working Sundays, and I was working holidays, and I got extra pay for that. Thank you very much, unions. My union, APWU, I was in. And there are unions, you know, all over across the country. And we've had a great labor movement, you know, from the 30s or whatever. And if it wasn't for that, who knows? We might be working 16-hour days right now. Or at least 12-hour days with no overtime pay, 6 days a week, no holiday pay, no long weekends, no vacation pay, no sick pay, none of that shit. None of that shit without your union. So, you know, I don't want to hear any shit talking about the unions, that they're all in the mob. No, they're not. The mob may have used unions in some aspect. They may have utilized that to help launder money or whatever they were doing. But to say like, oh, every union is mob-based, mob-run, fuck you. Said Roxanne, TJ, you came up with the dandelion thing. Oh, did I? Was it me? I am my own worst enemy. I don't even remember now. I now that you mention it, I guess maybe I kind of remember, but I'm sure it was one of those things where we were having conversations about what to do if I hit a milestone, and I don't know how I came up with dandelion, but who knows? Who knows where my brain comes up with shit? Jen up the base says, Trucker John, if Kamala had won, we'd be in a different hell. Election denialism on the verge of a civil war. Romanticizing a Kamala presidency is understandable, but never would have materialized. I don't think we'd be on the verge of a civil war. I know that the right wingers, the maggots, would be crying and saying it was rigged or whatever, but that would be minuscule. It would not be anything. Look, dude, you're over. If you're accusing me of romanticizing it, you're doing whatever the opposite is of romanticizing. I mean, yeah, there would be some crybabies, but it would have been nothing. It would have been nothing, because the overwhelming majority of people would say that, hey, man, things are going pretty good. To even suggest that if Kamala Harris had won, that we would be facing a civil war right now, that's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. We're facing a civil war now because of Trump. We're way closer to a civil war now than we would ever have been if Harris had won. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Don't even go there. That's ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever heard. Mr. Spock, it was supposed to be grain-fed organic dandelions. I don't remember that. I remember I was just going to grab one wherever I could find one or something. DPD 5844 says CVS has already implemented rules at over 17 locations where you have to have a doctor's permission to receive the COVID vaccines. Other locations have chosen to just scrap the vaccine altogether. And that is because of this horse shit administration and fucking RFK Jr. and it's just disgusting. Roxanne says, I haven't seen a dandelion out here in years. If we get them, I bet the deer eat them before I've ever seen. I know. I've got to start thinking about where I could get one. Mr. Spock says, by the way, TJ, they do make edible lookalike dandelions. Should I do one of those instead? I would rather do one of those, actually, if you want to know the truth. Damon Dog, I get lots of dandelions. I quit the weed and feed a few years ago. I actually thought of planting clover since it grows better than grass in my yard. I'm just sort of scrolling down a little bit because I know I'm like 38 minutes behind, and I don't like to get too far behind, you know. Michael says audio okay now. We got Jill Branton. Hey, Jill Branton. Good to see Jill Branton. I'm not sure if I've seen you in the chat before, so thanks for being here. Thanks for coming in. Jill says, Paul Burrows, dust in the wind, nice fart going to earwig. Oh, okay. Let's see. I'm just skipping down a little bit here. Roxanne 79 says the dumbing down of our children is horrifying. No more sex ed. No more talks of puberty. Sounds like they want to set our kids up to be sex trafficked and uneducated. I don't know what they want. They're just so fucking weird. Remember the weird thing? We used to talk about how weird these fucking maggots are and Trump is. They're fucking so fucking weird. And not weird in the good way. They're weird in a bad way. Like, there's a lot of people who could say that I'm weird. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm probably weird. But I'm not weird like how they're weird. They're weird in a bad way. All right, I'm just kind of skipping down. There's Aaron West. There's Aaron's here. I don't know if Jolie's here or not. Jolie might be doing some stuff with the fam. The family. Today's a big family day, so that's cool. DPD says, John, for the love of God, please remove that picture. Measure received. Yeah, sorry, I did leave that up a little long. Sorry about that. There's Aaron West, member for 16 months. Thank you so much, Aaron. I do appreciate you. Not only being a member, but being a mod and being a big supporter of the show. So yippee going out to Aaron West. Thank you so much. And Aaron says, y'all behave. We'll be listening while I drive. Oh, that's so Aaron's driving. Everyone's off to do things today. I understand that. So for you, we need Epstein back on the screen. I do have, let's see. All right. So people are talking about that. I did have the thing here. Okay, we could do that. Release those. And I also have, now there's another one I was going to talk about a little bit. Here's this one here, this lady. I have to sort of blue it. Now here's the thing. I like this. I don't know who this lady is. I don't know who that picture is. Maybe she lives in Sweden. So it says, I live in Sweden. We have, can I move this over a little bit? There we go. It says, I live in Sweden. We have Social Security, affordable health care, strict gun laws, 5 weeks paid annual leave, and a year maternity leave. Oh, gee, I just zoomed myself in. I didn't mean to zoom me in. I was trying to, there we go. A stay at the hospital for one night costs about $10. Prescription drugs have an annual cap of $210. We are not communists. We are socio-democratic. I like how she says socio instead of social. Socio-democratic. And our freedoms are not inhibited. And then it's, I don't know, at sweet resistance. Resistance. So why can't we be like that? Why can't we be more like that? Without getting a whole rash of shit from all the fucking right-wingers that say, that's communist! I'm gonna get me none of that. We don't do that here. This is America. We're free. We don't do none of that. You know, getting everything from the government. Of course, most of them are all on, you know, some sort of government program, but why can't we be like this? And the answer is, are you ready for this? Big money in politics. It all comes down to the big money in politics. Dark money, big money, oligarch money. The big money people, they have been saying they lay down the rules. Whether it's big pharma, big health companies, big, the gas industry, everything. They don't want EPA rules, so if a Republican is in charge, they'll get rid of them. That's what Trump is doing. He's getting rid of EPA and EPA regulations. Trump is doing everything he can to do away with the ACA, healthcare. He's bringing all that shit back. It's all because of dark money and big money. We need to get money out of politics. Of course, we can't do that until we get Democratic majorities. We're always chasing our tails. It's always a catch-22. Because I would say when you break things down, most Americans are in favor of Social Security. They think it's a good program. They love it. I would think most people are in favor of affordable health care. But when you say Obamacare, then a lot of these right wingers will say no, fuck that shit. But if you say affordable health care, they're like, yeah. When you break down the gun laws, if you don't say, hey, gun control, are you in favor of gun control? A lot of the right wingers are going to say, fuck no, we don't want gun control. But if you say stuff like, are you in favor of maybe a universal background check? Someone has to go through before they purchase a gun. And most people, even on the right, will say, yeah. I bet there's a lot of right wingers that would love to get 5 weeks of paid annual leave. 5 fucking weeks. That's even good. That's better than most even good union jobs. I think I topped out at 4 when I was with the APWU. I think we got 4 weeks. We started off, and they work you into it. You know, like my first few years, I think I got a week, and then it was a couple years later. I got 2 weeks of free pay. I got a paid vacation, and then after I think 4 years or something, and then it was up to like 3 or 4 weeks. I think I topped out at 4 weeks. Is my point. But I think most Americans would like that, whether you're on right or left of the political spectrum, the aisle. Why wouldn't a right-winger want to get a year of maternity leave? They want to have all these fucking kids, but they don't want to let the mom be home to take care of their newborn, or the dad or whatever, how they're going to do it. Who wouldn't want to have a hospital cost of only $10 instead of getting a bill for thousands and thousands of dollars? I think most Americans would be for this kind of shit. Who wouldn't want their prescriptions capped at a yearly rate of $210 instead of what they're paying now, which is probably some people tens of thousands of dollars, many thousands of dollars at the very least. I think I just saw something where Trump is rolling back or doing away with what Biden had done with the insulin cap, where he capped it at was it $50 or something like that, and Trump is doing away with that, and so now the average cost is going to go back up to was it $1,500 a month or something that people pay for insulin, and for a drug that said it costs like $10 to make or some shit. Thank you, right wingers. Thank you so much, you fucking right wing piece of shit motherfuckers. We're fucking ourselves. We're fucking ourselves over. We could have shit like they have in Sweden. There's no reason not to. There's absolutely no reason not to. And this would not make us a poor country. This would make us a richer country. Richer in what we get. Instead of always the top 1% getting everything. Why can't we get some shit? And you top 1%ers can still be as rich as fuck. We could get all this shit. We could get all that shit. Social Security, affordable health care, sensible gun safety laws, 5 weeks paid vacations. We could have maternity leave for a year. We could do all that shit. And you motherfuckers would still be richer than fuck. It's just that you're goddamn greedy assholes. You're a bunch of greedy assholes and you want everything. You want everything. Enjoy it while you can, because at some point the shit will hit the fan and the people will rise up. And all you rich fucks, all your planes running away, there's only so far you can run to. Chris Doug says, remember, it's not September. This month is Epstemper. The time they exposed Trump for what we all know he is. That's right. Release the Epstein files. And we do have, I'll put this up again. We have that. That's going to be happening tomorrow, or no, because 2 days from now, Wednesday, where they're going to have a press conference, Epstein survivors press conference on the 3rd. So let's all watch that. Let's all give them support by watching and spreading the news and sharing. Hey, Tim Farrell. Good to see Tim Farrell. Tim Farrell says, I've consulted a body language expert, and she determined that Trucker John is honest. Well, thank you for doing that, verifying that. Susie Jones, member for 4 months. Thank you, Susie. Yippee! A happy Truckerversary. To Susie Jones, hi everyone. Hello, Susie. Thanks for being a member. I do appreciate you so much. I appreciate all of you, all y'all, the members, the non-members, the subscribers, the non-subscribers, the likers. You know, the likers. That's the thumbs up people. I appreciate you all. Everything. I appreciate all of it. Andrew Petrie is here. Hey, Andrew, good to see you. Thanks for joining us in the old driver's lounge. Thanks for coming on in and hanging out with us on this beautiful Labor Day. Labor Day, you know, there's supposed to be what about Labor Day? What is this? What is the actual holiday like to celebrate labor? To celebrate all the people who labor so hard to make this a great country, and that's you, and that's me, and that's all of us. It's all of us 99 percenters, basically. Fuck the 1 percenters, like fuck those guys to hell. But the rest of us, the 99 percenters, we are what makes this country roll and go and survive and keep going. So to me, this is the fuck the 1 percenter day and celebrate the 99 percenters. And basically more like the 80 percenters. That between 80 and 99 percenters, you guys are doing pretty well. And that's good, that's fine. I have nothing against you, but you know, the ones that are really doing the work are probably the bottom 80%. Roxanne79 says RFK Jr. is a heroin expert. Why can't my phone fucking spell that word? Gives me heroin and heroin. Fuck you, Apple. Damon Dog says, I saw that video. The window is the residence. I figured it was shitty diaper being thrown out the window. Oh, the plastic bags. Yeah, probably. Christina Weibel says, I'm cooking on the grill today. My dad bought me a folding grill last month. Nice. Thomas Walker is here. Hey, Thomas Walker, good to see you. Thanks for coming into the chat today. Thomas says, RFK is just one in a cult of extreme population control freaks of evolution. Whatever he is, we sure as fuck don't need him leading our health department, our health services. That's for sure. Joe Mojo, Joe, is this formerly known as Jojo Mojo Jojo? Anyhow, Joe Mojo Joe 666 is in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate you. And Jojo Mojo Jojo says Heather Cox Richardson did a good piece about Labor Day and the parade that almost didn't happen. I know. I started reading that and then I didn't finish it. I think I started reading that last night. Heather Cox Richardson is a treasure. She's like a national treasure. I love her. I love her writing. I love her really in-depth. I don't know if you call it reporting, but I mean, she at the end of her article, she posts all of her, her resources, where she got her information, so you can always double check her. You can fact check her and whatever. Heather Cox Richardson is awesome. And I highly recommend it, that everyone read Heather Cox Richardson like daily, every day. She puts stuff out, and she just lays it all out, you know. Christina Weil, no such thing of workers' rights to safe workplaces. The Fifth Circuit Court ruled that the NLRB to be dissolved. Again, thank you, right-wing politicians. Thank you, fucking maggots for voting in Republicans that put in this type of shit. They give us those type of justices. It's not justice. Susie Jones, I don't understand how the GOP captured some unions. Fox News, right-wing media, right-wing propaganda, 24/7, everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, there's fucking Fox News, and it used to be Rush Limbaugh, 24/7. You get that, and you can indoctrinate a lot of people, even union members, who will end up cutting off their nose despite their faces. Because they get so fucking brainwashed by this Fox News bullshit. Yeah, Michael McAndrews says support unions. Josh C says AFM Local 78. Here's solidarity, brothers and sisters. Absolutely. Mr. Spock, 20-hour work week, retire at 45. Hey, socialism plus sounds good. And I'm all for things like 4-day work weeks. I'm all for earlier retirements. You know, a lot of people were saying we should lower. The Republicans, if they don't want to outright do away with Social Security, which they do, then they're always trying to raise the age requirement. They always want to raise it so that you're working, so people are working themselves to the fucking bone until they're 70. And all this kind of shit. On the other side of the aisle, people have said, why don't we lower the fucking requirement age from 65 to 60? How about we go to 55? How about we go to 50? What's wrong with that? I think that would be great. Let people start retiring earlier, and they're still young enough to enjoy their retirement. They're still young and healthy enough. And then that leaves jobs. The argument was that would leave jobs available for the younger folks. Now, and this argument's been around a while. This is before all this new AI shit. So, I think we're going to have to relook a lot of, rethink a lot of stuff about jobs and stuff. User, formerly known as William, I'll just say that. Teamsters were mobbed up. Yeah, but so what? So the fuck what? That has nothing to do with the union as a whole. That has nothing to do with that's what the right wingers, they try to demonize unions by bringing up the mob connection. It's not really the union's fault that the mob got involved. The mob got involved with the union. And they used the union. The mob used the union. Some unions, like Teamsters. But that doesn't really, I'm not in favor of throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Let's just drain the bathwater and get some fresh bathwater, but we don't have to throw the baby out, okay? Nick Rich, live better, work a union. Groove Dragon says the election was rigged, just saying. Well, we don't know. I have my suspicions. If we're talking about 2024, because I know we're behind I'm behind in the chat. I think I was talking about Kamala Harris, and people were idiots for not voting for her. And I still say people were idiots for not voting for her. And people were idiots for not showing up to vote. As far as it being rigged, I have my suspicions, but right now they're just suspicions. But there's one thing I do know for sure, is that there were people that didn't vote, that didn't show up. And there were people that voted for for Trump that shouldn't have voted for Trump. I mean, we do know that at least, 77 million people voted for Trump. As far as the rigging is concerned, I don't know. I have my suspicions. But I do believe that if we had had a higher turnout, if we had had the turnout that we had in 2020, the higher the numbers, I think it's harder for them to cheat. It's harder to rig things, the bigger the numbers. So if we'd had the higher turnout, I don't think whatever cheating or rigging they did, I don't think it would have worked. So at the end of the day, I'm going to blame the people that didn't show up, that should have showed up. Sandy Foltz is here. Hey, Sandy, good to see you. Thanks for coming on into the chat room there. I do appreciate you for coming on in. Thanks for coming on in. $88.99 GRXX is here. Aloha, friends from the U.S. Just chatting by. Hug from Switzerland. Hey, there's Switzerland. Is Switzerland like Sweden as far as like the socio-democracy thing? Michael McAndrew says, John, have a cake made with dandelion icing sculpture. Ooh, that sounds nice. Yeah, do I have to stick to being an actual real dandelion, or can I make a nice, tasty cake instead with just a frosting sculpture of the dandelion? Groove Dragon says there was insurrection when Trump lost in 2020. Why not if Kamala won? Because Trump wouldn't be the president. He wouldn't have that pulpit like he did in 2020 when he was still the president. Joe Biden would be in charge. Joe Biden would have been the president in 2024, all the way until the inauguration when Kamala Harris would have taken over. They know how to run shit. They know how to keep things, I think, buttoned down and tightened up. And I don't think we would have. I mean, yeah, there might have been some insurrections, or there might have been some pockets of violence somewhere here and there. I don't think we would have seen a full-scale meltdown of the country, a full-scale civil war. I really don't. I don't think that it would be in, that I'm romanticizing a Kamala Harris presidency. I'm not romanticizing shit. I'm saying that we wouldn't have all these goddamn tariffs. We wouldn't have lost all of our fucking, credibility and trust with all of our allies across the world. We wouldn't have any of that. That's the tough stuff I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, okay, yeah, there'd be some fucking maggots, maybe like Gen 6 or Jan 6 types that would maybe pockets of here or there or that. But it wouldn't have been a full-scale civil war and all this shit. Our standing in America would be 100% better right now if Kamala Harris was president. There would be no tariffs. There'd be, like I said, Canada wouldn't be pissed off at us. Las Vegas, where I live, wouldn't be suffering right now from the slowdown in tourism, which we've clearly had a slowdown here. And I don't really give a fuck about these big multi-billion-dollar corporations if they're losing some money. I really don't give a shit about that. But I think it is an indicator. I think Las Vegas is kind of an indicator of what's going on all across the country, where the airport is slowing down. The people aren't coming in like they did. It's noticeably slower. Now, we did have a busy weekend for this holiday weekend. This has been the busiest weekend I've seen in months. I've been noticing, though, for months now, the slowing down of the tourism and being less people. That's an indicator of I think that you could draw those out to the rest of the country. People don't have the disposable income to come to Vegas. So I think that's an indicator of how shitty our economy is. I don't think we would have a shitty economy right now under Kamala Harris. That was my point. to deny or to not think that we would be in a better place right now if Kamala Harris had won, to me, is ridiculous. I'm not saying that there would be people that are butthurt and they would be crying and all this kind of shit, but it would be so insignificant that I don't think it would even show up hardly on the radar. I think it would be quelled very quickly, whatever they did. And I'd rather be in that situation. Wouldn't you rather be in a situation where Kamala Harris had won and dealing with whatever the fucking maggots were going to do, whatever they're crying about, whatever little things they do, and dealing with it from that aspect with the Kamala Harris administration? Wouldn't you rather be in that situation than where we are now? With a Trump administration and with all his fucking morons, everyone from RFK Jr. to Kash Patel to fucking Tulsi Gabbard to Christine Nome. I mean, every department you can think of is being led by fucking morons and Russian assets. Would you rather have that? Do you think that's better than if we had Kamala Harris? You're going to try to tell me that is the same, or Kamala Harris would be the same as that? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me right now? Jesus H. Christ. You people. Who was that said that? Was it Groove Dragon? Who was that? Oh yeah, it was Groove Dragon. Are you fucking kidding me right now? You really think that we would be worse off right now if Kamala Harris had won? Get a grip. Fucking rethink your fucking things, man. Hey, Richard from Down Under, expat in Australia, is here. Bright and early, 5 a.m. there in Australia for Richard. Thanks for being here, Richard. I do appreciate you. Anna Moore says that edible dandelion would be a great idea. I'll do it if enough people say that it's okay, that I kind of change the rule. Because the challenge was that I would eat a dandelion. If we want to change it to an edible dandelion, if I could find one of those, and you guys are saying, if you guys give me because the show is run by you guys in a lot of ways. So if you guys give me the green light on that, I guess I don't know if I'll eat the whole thing. I don't know how big they are or whatever. I might just eat a little bit of it because I don't want to get all naked and shit. Next thing you know, I'm tearing off my clothes and swinging across the room or something. Janet DeBay says, Trucker John 3, currently we are on the verge of a class-based civil war after the Heritage Foundation's successful coup that lasted more than 4 years. I probably don't disagree with that. I think we are on the verge of, if not a civil war, I really don't think we're on the verge of an actual fighting war with guns and shit. But I do think we are at the verge of a civil war of just leaving the United States, leaving the Union. Like I said, I talked about this a couple days ago about forming the United Blue States of America. And I think we could do that peacefully. We don't have to I don't think we have to, have a war. And if a war did start, it would be because Trump would instigate it, any type of violence. But I think we could pull out of the United States. California, like I said, California, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, let's bring them in. I hope Nevada would join. Certainly Illinois, New York. I think a lot of the northeastern states could join. We could have the blue states, United Blue States of America. And we could do all that shit like they're doing in Sweden. And before you know it, probably a lot of the red states will go, you know what, that looks pretty good. And they might join too. But the idea that we would somehow be in the same shit show if Kamala Harris had won and she was the president and we're 230 days into her presidency or whatever it is, that it would be sort of like the same. We'd be in the same like kind of badness that we're in now is to me is ludicrous. You know, it's ludicrous. I'm not saying that and I'm not saying Kamala Harris would be perfect and her administration would be perfect and everything would be fucking unicorns and rainbows or whatever, but we would be definitely 1,000,000% better off than we are now. Even with whatever insurrection or insurrectionists or Jan 6 types or whatever, no matter, even with all that calculated into it, we would be 1,000,000,000 times better off than we are now. And I don't know how you could even think otherwise. The Fancy Factory's here. Hey, yippee, the Fancy, for that $2 super chat. Thank you so much. I do appreciate the Fancy Factory. Fancy says, Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day back at you. Thank you so much. We are 3/5 of the way to the goal. Groove Dragon says, also, Trucker John, you are welcome. I am one of the 20 new subscribers. I dig your style. Uh-oh. I hope you didn't just unsubscribe. I hope you didn't unsubscribe. I kind of laid into you a little bit there. I hope you don't unsubscribe. I hope you have a thick enough skin to take a little bit of criticism. I really do. But if you are still a subscriber, thank you very much for subscribing. I do appreciate you. You know what? If you're still there, Groove Dragon, if you haven't left yet, just talk to Wes Webb. I lay into him all the time. And yet I still feel like Wes and I are friends, and Wes, even though he's not here today, but Wes still comes in and puts up with my yelling at him and stuff like that. So if he can do it, you can do it. Search for You says, sorry, I forgot to say please. I think it was about changing the thing or something. But thank you so much, Groove Dragon. I appreciate you for being here. I'm just saying, I don't agree with what you were saying about whatever it was now. I keep hitting this thing and about Kamala Harris and Biden and all that, or Trump. No matter what, I just don't know how anyone can think that we wouldn't be better off if Kamala Harris had won. Whatever happened, whatever might have happened because of that, we would be better off. And I don't know how you could not come to that conclusion. Unless you are a right winger. I don't think you guys are right wingers. Sandy Foltz says Fred Flintstone was called is it stoop? Really? I didn't know that. I don't remember Fred Flintstone being called a stoop. I do not recall that. Sandy Foltz is still in Wausau, Wisconsin. Enjoying your time there, it sounds like, with your son. I'm glad you're over there. I'm kind of skipping down here in the chat. I'm skipping in the chat. Groove Dragon says they stay in the hospital in the USA $2,000 to $16,000 per night. Right, like I said, as $10 in Sweden, and I said as opposed to thousands of dollars here. Sonny Foltz is asking, what is everyone doing for Labor Day? I know we had some people that were grilling and barbecuing and doing that type of thing. Search for You says, I'm laboring on my sofa. All right, so I'm going to just take this down temporarily. There was one other little meme I wanted to put up. What was this one? I don't remember what it was. Let's see here. This is what I was already talking about this one. So Donald Trump has canceled the $35 a month insulin cap. Prices are expected to almost instantly go back to $1,500 a month. Insulin costs $2 to make. Trump is Big Pharma's bitch. You got that? Trump is Big Pharma's bitch. And this is just one little example of, if Kamala Harris was still president, we wouldn't be losing that. No matter what, the other side was complaining about or whatever, or trying to do an insurrection that would have been quelled in 2 seconds. Under a Kamala Harris presidency, she would have put that shit down right fucking quick if anyone tried to do anything. But we would not have this happening. In fact, we would have an expansion of health cost reductions going on right now. We'd be seeing more savings. We'd be seeing expansions of Medicaid and all that kind of shit under Kamala Harris. So this just goes to my point about how things would be better if Kamala Harris had won. Michael McAndrews says, my heart attack cost $100,000 at the hospital, 4 stents in the heart. Thank goodness for insurance. Hey, the Soulcraft is here. Hey, Soulcraft says, I'm just popping in to say hi and family. Got a lot going on the next few days. Sorry to hear about your dad's passing, Soulcraft. I did hear about that in Boston Brian chat, I think. So sorry for your loss. My condolences to you and your family. I know it's a tough time, and no matter what, I mean, I know, like, when my dad was dying, we knew for a long time. You know it's happening. You could be prepared for it in some way, but then when it actually happens, it's still very sad. To lose a loved one, and to especially lose a parent. So my thoughts go out to you and to you and your family and through this time. And yeah, you've got some stuff to do. So thanks for coming in and saying hi. I know there's a lot going on with you and your family right now. And so just thoughts of just love going out to you and your family. All righty. Groove Dragon says, I cleaned a laundromat. Now, as a retired citizen in his 70s, I worked construction from the age of 18 and never had a paid vacation in my life. Yeah, it's too bad we don't have more unionization. You could have worked for a union construction crew. But instead, we elected Ronald Reagan as president in 1980. And then this whole war on unions really went full bore, and we've just seen the decline of unions ever since. Susie Jones says, Sweden seems a remote place to retire, but sadly we live here. Sandy Fold says, TJ, today is a holiday. Try to forget about Trump today. Focus on Labor Day. This is the last day of summer activities. Oh, we can do both. We can do both, Sandy. We can talk about Trump, and we can talk about Labor Day, and we can talk about what people are doing for summer. And this last day, really, it's seen as the last day of summer and all that kind of stuff, even though technically it's not. But I think we can do a little bit of everything. It's kind of what we do on the show. We do a little bit of everything. You know, we talk about everything. Chris Doug says in 2019, my cardiac catheterization and 3 stents hospital bill was $66,000. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. Sandy Fold says my son's roommate has a chair like yours, but it's blue, not orange. Yeah, I could have ordered. They did have different colors. They had blue and there was red. They had like a red and black. I got the orange because I kind of like the orange. You can't really see it, but or I could have gone with all black, which is I'm kind of thinking maybe I should have gone with all black. It would have matched my couch better, since my couch. But then Jolie had a good idea to just get some orange pillows. But anyhow, yeah. This is a good, they advertise this as like a gaming chair for gaming, for gamers, but it works for podcasters and vloggers and bloggers and live streamers like myself. Mr. Spock says, I have incorporated a professional lip reader for TJ Words of Wisdom. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble now. Anna Moore says, unfortunately, MAGA and Republicans equate Social Security and Medicare with socialism. And these are the people that they can't differentiate from, or they can't allow for the fact that, so what if it is socialism? I don't even, I'm not saying it is, but so the fuck what? Talking about my dearly departed father, and I've told this story before, but I think this was around 1973 or so. I remember driving in the car with my dad. So picture this, 1973, early 70s. This is way before Rush Limbaugh, way before Fox News, way before any of that shit. But we were listening to I believe it was KFI. It's a Los Angeles radio station. Big has a big radius or whatever of where it can send out a signal, because we lived out in the desert, probably about at least 80 or 90 miles from wherever they were transmitting from for KFI. But KFI came in fine, so we were listening to that, and there was some sort of talk show on, and they were talking about taxes and about welfare and all this kind of shit. And I guess people were calling in, and some were for it, some were against it, whatever. And I remember my dad just turning to me and saying, we are a big enough and rich enough country that we can do both. We can help people out with welfare, because that's what they called it back then, with welfare and with Medicare. And we can also have capitalism where people can start businesses and they can make money and make profits. But he says, my dad, this is in 1973 or 4, or somewhere around there. This is what my dad told me. And my dad wasn't political. He really wasn't that political. We weren't really a political family. I was more political at age 12 and 13 than my parents ever were. I was watching the Watergate hearings on TV every fucking day and telling them what a crook Nixon was. And they're like, where are you getting this? I'm like, it's on TV. I'm watching. But this is what my dad told me around 73 or so. We're a big enough and rich enough country. We can do both. We can have social programs. We can have a social safety net. And we can also have capitalism. Now, whatever you want to call that, I don't pretend to be an expert in economic systems and governmental systems and all that kind of shit. What's socialism? What's capitalism? What's communism? What is all this kind of shit? I don't know. I don't give a fuck. Here's what I do care about, and what I know. And it was true then, and it's true now. We are big enough and rich enough. We are the richest country in the world. We are the richest country in the history of the world. And yes, we can have people that want to make businesses and be capitalists, be entrepreneurs, and I'm all for that. But we can also have a social safety net. We can also have programs that help people not fall all the way down to the bottom floor, that catch people before they do that. We can have welfare. We can have SNAP. We can have Medicaid and Medicare. And we have Social Security, which is what we pay into. That is not really paid with your taxes, so to speak. That's a deduction out of your paycheck that you pay into. That's a benefit. But we can have those things. And what do you want to call it? Socio-democratic, socialism, communism, capitalism. I don't give a fuck about those terms. I don't like all these terms. I like the realism. I like the realism of what it is and what we can do. We can still have entrepreneurs and business people and capitalists, and we can have a strong social safety net. We can do both. But we won't be able to as long as our Congress is bought and paid for and run by these oligarchs. As long as we have big money in our politics. And as Robert Perez says, that's his number one issue, and I understand why. We need to get big money out of politics so that we can make things even, and so we can do both. And the top 1%ers need to stop being so goddamn greedy. Instead of being a trillionaire, maybe you could just be a multi-millionaire. Could you get by on that? I don't know. Could you maybe find it in your hearts to maybe somehow squeak out an existence on, $500 million instead of, hundreds of billions of dollars or whatever it is, or billions of dollars? Anyhow, so that's my deal. That's my perspective. That's where I come from. Paul Burroughs has got, I guess, king salmon on the grill today. That sounds delicious, Paul. That sounds delicious. The Fancy Factory, it says, I'm just making some links and baked beans and got a cake, not doing too much. Damon Dog says, I haven't, I guess maybe bought Powerball tickets for tonight. If I win, well, did you or did you not? It says, if I win, I'll share with all of you. No one needs 1.1 million bucks. I hope you win. Michelle says, I want shrimp on the barbecue. I want some shrimp on the barbie. Hello, Michelle. If I didn't say hi earlier, there you are. Hello. Mr. Spock says the Arbor Day Parade is exciting. Never miss it on the tele every year. Fancy Factory says, did you guys see someone throwing stuff out the window at the White House? Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. And we were wondering if that was just a bag of dirty diapers or what the hell. Who knows? Who the hell knows? Christina Weibel says, thanks for reading my comment, TJ. Well, you're welcome. I can't read them all, and especially as we're getting later into the show here. I do sort of skip along a little bit more just because, it's getting late. Darkly Yours is here. I am Justice. I am the Night. Hello, Darkly Yours. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you coming on in. Christina Weibel, retirement age is 70. To get full retirement, I believe, yeah. And they keep raising it. It wasn't that way a few years ago or whatever. The Republicans keep raising the age. And I know there are plenty of Democrats and people that I've heard say, well, why don't we should be lowering it, if anything. Mr. Bob Newell's here. I can't hear you. Paul Burrows, I'll be 71 on November 9th and still can still outwork three 20-year-olds. I bet you can. Steve Sayre says, anyone having audio problems? Getting every third word. If that's the thing, I guess some people were like rebooting and coming back in, and they said that helped. Doc Leor says, I knew I wasn't ever going to retire when I was a teenager, just not in the cards. Mr. Bob Newell, always asking about the chair. The chair's fine. The chair's fine. Chair's doing good. I went through the other day. Remember one of the armrests kind of like fell off, or one of the bolts came out. So I went and got the Allen wrench, and I went and I retightened all the bolts down. They all did need a little more. I thought I had tightened them down. I don't know if they worked their way loose or what, but I went and tightened every single one of them. So hopefully nothing will fall apart again. Tim Farrell says the mob corrupted union leaders. I would say selectively in certain places, certainly not every union. See, the thing is people want to say or equate whatever corruption there was with the Teamsters, and I think a lot of that was in New York and Chicago, and I'm sure Kansas City or whatever, certain places. And it's not all unions, and it's not across the board, and it's corruption, yeah, and they did corrupt them, but I think it's like I say, I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Let's just get some fresh bathwater. And so when people want to demonize unions, they want to bring up the mob connection to it. And it's just to demonize unions. It's not. So they want to paint this picture that every union in the world or in the country, no matter what union it is, no matter where it is, that it's mob run or mob influenced or mob corrupted, and it's not. I don't believe that's true. I don't believe that's the case, especially now. I think it's the mob over the years has had less and less in power and influence. I think the mob is the thing that's going away. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Maybe the old, I have a picture of the Italian mobs. Maybe they've been replaced with Russian mobs and Asian mobs or whatever. But I think to try to say that all unions are corrupted by the mob, I think is wrong and incorrect. I'm not saying there is no mob involvement and there hasn't been some serious corruption. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying it's to paint this picture that all unions are just evil and corrupt. My dad, that's the thing. My dad was a union officer with the Cement Workers Union. I forget the exact name of it. For many years, he was in the union, and it's kind of funny. I have a brother, and I don't want to talk shit about my brother and sister. I love them, but we grew up in two different kind of eras. I grew up, because we're so far apart in age, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. My dad was a union guy. He was a union officer. And then there was the company was bought by another company, and they were letting a lot of people go. And he found an opportunity to stay at work there by becoming a supervisor or manager or whatever. He got into supervision. So now he's on the other side. But he was still, my dad was a great guy, and everyone loved my dad. Everybody, union and management, loved my father. He was just a great man. But the point I'm trying to make, then my brother and sister, they weren't born until the very late 70s. So we're like 16. I'm like 16 and 18 years apart from my brother and sister. And they grew up in the 80s and 90s. And that is the Rush Limbaugh era, the Fox News era. That's my dad is no longer a union man. I think this union stuff rubbed off on me. And then him being not in the union kind of rubbed off on them. And And they have a whole different outlook on life. I hated Ronald Reagan. I hated fucking the Bushes, you know, and my brother and sister loved them, you know. So I mean, there's a whole. It's kind of funny how these two we're like separate generations, and we have such different outlooks on life and perspectives of life. And when I think of the Union, I think of, you know, a lot of things, but I think of like my dad's involvement, all the years that my dad was in the Union, and I have a really positive outlook on it. And then my oops, sorry, hit that mic. My brother and sister, who grew up when my dad was not in the Union, and they grew up during this whole new kind of era of media, of right-wing media that really was blasting all their stuff 24/7, and my brother and sister would listen to this shit. So they have a whole different outlook on unions. They think unions are corrupt. They're like what some people say in here, that it's just corrupt, it's evil, it's full of the mob and mafia. That's how they look at it. It's kind of funny to me how, you know, I have full brothers and sisters. We are full. We're not half. We're not steps or anything like that. We're full brother and sisters, but we're like different generations, and we have different experiences with the way we grew up, and so we have a whole different outlook. And I'm a total lib. I'm a total Democrat, lifelong Democrat. I've never voted for a Republican in my life. They're, on the other hand, they're right wingers. They're Republicans, and they support Republicans. And it's just, I don't know. There's got to be something there there's got to be some kind of message there about how things have changed between the 60s and 70s and between the 80s and the 90s and going forward. It's just interesting how we can be shaped, how our views can be shaped through our influences growing up. I guess that's what I was trying to say. I don't know. The Fancy Factory says, I sure wonder what they were throwing out at the White House window. That was very strange. That is strange. Just the fact that they're throwing out a window instead of just using a, like, inside, just having them take it to the dumpster or something. I don't know. But that's weird. I didn't see it myself, but people were mentioning it here in the chat. Rosanna 21. Hey, Rosanna, thank you so much with a $4.99 super sticker. Yippee to Rosanna. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. And you got the hiya cat there saying hiya. Hiya, Rosanna. Rosanna 21. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. So let's see. Did I have any other? I don't know. I guess I didn't have any other memes, did I? I guess that was it. Yeah, I think I got everything. I'm just looking through my library of stuff here. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's all I got for now. I got this little picture of me. There's a high school thing that's for the class personalities. I am on the left there. I was cute as smile. Me and Jenny Ohoski. And then the middle is Mike Morgan and can I forget her name? She was a great girl. They were like class flirts. And then not Jenny Ohoski, Jeannie Jolliffe. Okay, wait. Cute Smile is me and Jeannie Jolliffe. I said Johoski. On the right is Danny. Why am I forgetting people's names? They're like my best friends. I can't remember the name. Danny and Jenny Ohoski. They were class clowns. They were voted like best class clown. Anyhow, so I just saw that in my little library, so we can put that up if we I don't know if that's such a good thing to have under release the Epstein files. This has nothing to do with the Epstein files. We were all in high school. We were all. It's okay that we were all sort of sitting on each other's laps there. Anyhow, Christina Weibel says my picture of President Biden is staying on my fridge. I didn't. I wish I would have uploaded that latest picture of Biden. I should have put that in my library. I think it might be. I don't think I have it. I don't know. Can I go over to here? I don't think I put one in my main library. I should have. That was a nice picture. That would be a nice picture to have on the screen right now, is with Joe Biden looking very healthy. Although I know, he's going through a lot. But anyhow, let's leave that for a while. I can change it in a little bit. Darkly Yours says we would still have allies if Kamala had won. Exactly, all that stuff. There's a no matter what you think about if there would have been an insurrection or people, crying about the election, it pales in comparison to all the positives that we would be in right now if Kamala Harris had won. And I didn't mean to yell at was it Groove Dragon? I think he may have left. I may have run him off. So hopefully not, though. Thomas Walker says mob protection rackets are a crime of the streets, such as thugs and bullies. Mr. Bob Newell, did you eat a PBJ sandwich today? You know what? I did. Were you in here? Are you watching me? Because I did get up. I was running a little late. I didn't have time to make breakfast. So I just saw some, I saw the peanut butter in the cabinet, and I'm like, I'll just make a PB&J. So I had coffee and a PBJ for breakfast. And I did that while the intro was running, because I was running late. But that's funny that Mr. Bob Newell would say that. Gender Basis Trucker John, I clearly said a different type of hell. I don't think it would be hell, though. I don't even think this would be hell. If Kamala Harris were president, I don't think this would be a different type of hell. I think we would be in a good place. And yeah, there would be maggots and right-wingers trying to start some shit. But I don't think it would go anywhere. And I don't think we'd be on the verge of a civil war. I really don't. Especially when people started seeing that some positive things were happening. For everybody. For left and right. The problem with us, with our Democratic leaders, like Obama and Biden, is that they didn't pat themselves on the back enough. And I would hope maybe going forward, maybe a Kamala Harris if she were president, or maybe going forward, I think Gavin Newsom has learned this, is that we need to fucking every single day, every single accomplishment, we need to fucking, put that out on a bullhorn every single day, because it doesn't seep through. I think the assumption is, everyone knows. They know that, we're bringing health costs down, and we're bringing prices down, and we're bringing wages up, and we're creating more jobs. And I think they just assume everyone knows that, but they don't, because the masses are asses. The masses are asses, and in order to get through to them, you need to put everything out on a fucking bullhorn every single fucking day, every accomplishment, and you can do it, and you can do that more than once. If you bring down health costs, where people are paying nothing or maybe a few dollars out of pocket for something that normally costs thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, and you get that through, you don't just say it once. You don't talk about that. Well, you talk about that every single day for the rest of your term. That's what you got to do in order for it to seep in through the fucking masses. Because why? The masses are asses. That's why. Fancy says make a smoothie and blend the dandelion in. I don't have a blender though. I guess I could go buy one, but I would probably only use it that one time because I don't really make smoothies and stuff. Tim Farrell says Canadians are not going to the U.S. I know they're not. If they look through my phone with their new authoritarian Gestapo, I'm not sure which country prison they would send me to. But yeah, Canadians aren't coming. And I remember as early as probably March of this year, when Trump started saying all this shit about making Canada the 51st state, and right out of the gate saying he was going to tariff Canada and all this kind of all these high tariffs, I had Canadians in my cab, and maybe in February I was doing Lyft, saying that told me this is our last trip here. We already booked this trip, but we're not coming down anymore. And they're like, and we come here every year. We love coming to Vegas. These are Canadians. And they said, we're not coming anymore. And I believe them because they're not coming. The Canadians aren't coming. And we have a lot of Canadians that come down here, especially in the winter because it's warmer here than in a lot of parts of Canada. So we'll see how it goes this winter. But so far, it's been noticeable that it's been a noticeable drop in people coming in from Canada. We have the statistics from the airport, and there's all kinds of statistics that bear that out. And I've been seeing this happen for the last 3 or 4 months now. Jen of the Bay says, Trucker John, me, I said it, and you are making an apples to apples when that is not what I said. The racism and hatred on Fox News would be on steroids with a black woman effectively running. Yeah, so what? Yeah, so what? Why? But you're making it sound like it would be just as bad as it is now. That things would be just as bad if Kamala Harris, and it would not be. Things would not be anywhere near as bad. Fox News is going to do what Fox News does. And yeah, so what? You're making it sound like things would be just as bad no matter who won. And that is completely, utterly ridiculous. That's about as ridiculous as you being a Giants fan. Regardless of Fox News, regardless of them, the right-wingers and the MAGA crying about the election or whatever, if Kamala Harris had won, we would be, as a country, in a better place, no matter what Fox News does. Hey, there's Jolie. Jolie's here. Hey, Jolie, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in on this Labor Day. I know lots of things going on Labor Day, so thanks for being able to come in for a little bit here. And I know I'm over 2 hours, so we'll probably be ending the show pretty soon. We got 47 watches, 71 thumbs ups. Thanks for hitting that thumbs up. I hope I didn't scare off the Groove Dragon, a new subscriber, and I kind of yelled at him. Welcome to the Trucker John live stream, where you might get yelled at. But I think I yelled at him in not too mean of a way. Just like Jen up the base, I'm yelling at him, and Jen has learned the ways of the Trucker John channel. Okay, I'm kind of skipping down a little bit. I'm skipping down in the chat, so if I skip some things, it's because I've skipped down. Roxanne79 says, oh shit, I gotta run off to this barbecue. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you at Howell later. All right, have a good time. Have a good barbecue. Have a barbecue rib with lots of barbecue sauce slathered all over it. Have one for me. Darkly Yours says, so the Epstein victims are speaking on the 3rd. That's easy to remember because it's the same day as the rest of Wednesday drops. Oh yeah, so we had, yeah, I did have that up earlier. This one here, yep, there's that. That's going to go on Wednesday. I'm just sort of skipping down and sort of needle dropping, I guess. And kind of needle dropping. So where am I going to go? Nick Rich, 1 o'clock. I'm still almost a half hour behind in the chat. Darkly Yours says, I want to get some more chickens. My coop is empty right now. I just don't want to take on more work right now. Talk to Mr. Spock about that. You guys could have probably really good conversations about that kind of stuff. MJ Daniels from up there in Washington State says U.S. net worth somewhere around $175 trillion. We can afford the bare minimum mentioned. Yeah, we can afford to, I guess, spend the bare minimum mentioned in the general welfare part of the U.S. Constitution. Absolutely. Without any problems whatsoever. It would not be a burden on the economy at all. In fact, it would help the economy. Because it would keep people from filing bankruptcies or becoming home. Well, I guess we're not supposed to say homeless. I guess we're supposed to say houseless or something. I don't know. But it's like a good investment to help people not fall all the way to the bottom. MJ Daniel says won $4 on Powerball the other day. At least 1 to 2 zeros on that would be nice. I do not need the whole thing. John Glad's here. Hey, John Glad. I'm glad to see John Glad. John Glad says in a few years, all the income of the U.S. government will go to pay just the interest on the debt. Donald Trump has, when all is said and done, he's going to increase our debt by more than all the rest of the presidents combined. So much for all this like fiscal conservative bullshit. It's Donald Trump that is putting us in debt and putting us in the poorhouse and is really destroying this country. Darkly Yours says, my chair is so busted the metal parts are breaking and held together with duct tape. That's what was happening to me. It was a camp chair, but I wasn't using duct tape. I was using zip ties. The last few days that I used it, I was using zip ties to keep it together. And then it was getting to the point where during the show, I was actually feeling physical pain. And then I did one show on the couch because that chair was so bad I couldn't sit in it any longer. And then I think it was that night, or maybe the next day, the chair was delivered, the new chair that I'm sitting on now. Mr. Spock says, I had a Honda 3-wheeler when I was 15, traded it for a Kawasaki 440 LTD. I had a Honda 3-wheeler also but I was a little older. I think I was 17 or 18. I bought that with my own money. I remember I was working, maybe I was a little older. Was I a little older? I might have been actually in my 20s now I think about it. So I guess it doesn't count. But yeah, I remember I was working laying carpet. I had this job, and I went and bought the brand new Honda, the 3-wheeler, and I had a lot of fun on that thing. They don't even make them anymore because they're so dangerous. So I'm a dangerous person. DBD 5840. I'm just needle dropping, folks. Just needle dropping. It says by that I mean I'm just picking out chats just kind of randomly. DBD 5844 says, if you're in the Ohio area, we are fixing pork and beef ribs, mac and cheese, collard greens, honey rum baked beans, potato salad, corn on the cob, grilled sea bass, grilled chili lime, chicken cornbread and cobbler. Oh my God, that sounds so delicious, so good. Oh, you guys have a good time. Enjoy your Labor Day. Remember to thank your unions, thank your union leaders, your labor leaders. Thank everyone thank all the truck drivers who got that stuff to the market for you. Thank all the workers in the fields who may or may not be documented. I don't give a fuck. Thank them anyhow for getting that stuff. Thanks to all the fishermen, all the the people working on the ranches and getting that beef to the slaughterhouse. Thank to all the slaughterhouse workers, documented or undocumented. I don't give a fuck if they're undocumented. Thank them anyhow. They are getting the food to the tables. And have a good time, DBD. It sounds like a wonderful celebration there that you're having. And I'm instantly starving to death now. I'm skipping down, guys. I'm needle dropping. Okay, here's Jen up the base. Says, Stephanie B2 apparently is here. So hello, Stephanie B2, for coming on in. I didn't see where you came in at because I'm scrolling down and needle dropping. Here's Jen of the base. Says, okay, sitting hurts a lot and getting up is a struggle. Walking was causing pains with each step, like a or maybe this isn't. I don't know who posted this. This is weird. I guess it was Jen. Okay, Jen. Causing pains with each step and a spike going through my groin and my abdomen. Probably time to get it done. Yeah, get it done. I don't even know what you're talking about because I was needle dropping. But get it done. Mr. Spock said I'd sneak out before I got my motorcycle license. Coming back from a friend's house drunk, I tried to take a shortcut off the highway. Halfway down, the cops drive by, then back up and wait for me. Oh, shit. See there, you got in trouble. Groove Dragon says, Trucker John, nah, you didn't get rid of me. I am bouncing around online. And well, thank you. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you will continue to come back. And just know that sometimes we don't always have to agree 100%, and that's okay. As long as you're not like a fucking Nazi or something like that, a full-blown fucking maggot Nazi, then it's okay if we have a few disagreements here and there, or even just. And our disagreement, I'm sure, is just in a nuance. It's not really like a major thing, I don't think. Okay, I'm needle dropping, scrolling down and needle dropping here. Damon Dog says, Jen, I'd love a Giants versus Dodgers games with y'all commenting live. Now, I did skip down because I did make a comment about the Dodgers. Jen probably said something back about the Dodgers. Jen says, Trucker John 3, just smoke the dandelion. It will be all over quicker than a Roberto's burrito through your system. Are you recalling? Have I talked about Roberto's? Because I do have a Roberto's story, kind of. Have I talked about it before, and that's why you're bringing that up? All I got to say is I've eaten at Roberto's here in Las Vegas. They have them all over. Every time I eat at one, I get the shits. It gives me the shits. And I ate at different ones. I eat at Mexican places all over the place, and I'm fine. But whenever I go to Roberto's, and I haven't gone to Roberto's since in a long time, because why keep going if it's going to give you the shits every time? But I've gone to different, I went to 3 different locations, and every single time I got the shits. So I don't know what they're putting in their burritos or what they're doing. But I cannot eat at Roberto's. I can eat at all the other Mexican restaurants I've been, or even like fast food, not like Del Taco, but like like more authentic ones, and I'm fine. But Roberto's, no go. It's a no go. Oh, here's your base. You were making it sound like I'm saying that. I said nothing of the sort. Then you wanted to be the divider and go passive aggressive about the Giants. Sad. Oh well, it's a sad world. It's a sad place we're in right now, Jen. Susie Jones says, Sandy Folds, I'm needle dropping. My folks just returned to Tucson, but every time they go, I'm afraid it's the last time I will see them. They are in their 80s. Yeah, it's, that time of life. Darkly Yours says, Doge was just an excuse to axe social programs. Cruelty is the point. And in so doing, they axed hundreds of thousands of jobs. They've compromised our security, our cyber security, and our private information. There's all kinds of stories now of all kinds of hacks and things getting out. Roger Dodger here is here. Hey, Roger Dodger, good to see you. Roger Dodger says, I heard your speech on the benefits of Harris over Trump. This is, of course, 100% true. However, we still have a $7.25 minimum wage, $1 trillion Pentagon budget, and no meaningful health care reform. Maybe not in the first 230 days. And, of course, depending on if a Kamala Harris win would have translated also into a House takeover, a Democratic majority in the House. If that would have, you know what I mean? Like if Kamala Harris had won, if we had the turnout that we would have needed to get Kamala Harris to win, I'm hopeful that would have meant that we would have at least got the House back and maybe the Senate too. And then maybe we would see some improvements in minimum wage. I have a feeling the Pentagon is still going to be the Pentagon, and they're still going to get what they get, give or take. Whatever. But I think, so yeah, depending on what kind of Congress we would have given Kamala Harris, I think we would have seen those being worked on as far as maybe working towards a public option. And I think raising minimum wage would have been on the agenda. It might not have been in the first 230 days, but again, still think we would have been a billion times better off with Kamala Harris. And depending on the Congress we gave her, we probably would have had a split Congress, but yeah, we'd definitely be better off. Chris Doug says every American gets a Medal of Freedom after Trump's gone. Jen up the base says, Trucker John, I love Roberto's, but you need to be within a short distance of a bathroom. The shits are part of Roberto's charm. Not for me. Not especially when I can go to Tacos El Gordo. I can go to Casa del Sabor. I can go to Pepe's. Pepe's is really good. There's a few others. I can go to all those and have really delicious tacos and burritos and not get the shits. So I'll go there. I'll go to those places. I'll go to the places that taste delicious and don't give me the shits over a place that tastes, I'm not even sure it's delicious. They're all right and gives me the shits. I must be catching up because I just was talking about shits, and now I'm already in the shits in the chat. Hey, Big Hook is here, the Big Canuck. I don't know if Big Hook likes me calling him a big Canuck. Is that a bad thing to call a Canadian? If it's a bad thing, let me know, because I don't want to be saying a bad. I thought it was just brand with Big Hook, and I thought it was Canuck. I think is Canadian, right? Anyhow, let me know. Big Hook, the Big Canuck says, "Hiya, Nick, my fellow." Oh, well, there's Canuck. Maybe I'm not saying Canuck right. Is it Canuck? Anyhow, good to see you always. All right, I think I've just about caught up to the chat room here. 2 hours and 20 minutes we've been on. We got Big Hook says, "Hiya, Turtle Toes." Speaking of Jolie, is Dan going on today, or is he taking the holiday? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. If Dan is on tonight, make sure you guys check out the Liberal Dan show at, I believe, 8 o'clock Central Time. Best show on the internet. If not, then you can catch him on Wednesday, I believe. Owen is here. Hey, Owen, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. It says, "Gender of the Base, don't get me started on the indoctrinating and lies from Rush Sleazeball." Big influence. When I was truck driving, and I started around 2004, and I was going across country, and I was listening mainly to over-the-air radio stations. It never ceased to amaze me how I could, channel surf, and I could find at least 2 or 3 stations that were playing Rush Limbaugh on anywhere. It could be in a big city, it could be out in the middle of nowhere, it could be some little tiny town. It was Rush Limbaugh 24/7. They would repeat the show. They played him on the weekends. Rush Limbaugh, Rush Limbaugh, Rush Limbaugh. And then, of course, those stations, they had a lineup of like Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly, and then fucking Michael Savage and fucking Michael Reagan, who apparently is this adopted son of Ronald Reagan. All these assholes, and that was their channel lineup, and they would play that 24/7, and it would be on 2 or 3 markets, in the same area, and they didn't give a fuck. They were all propped up by big money. These stations, even if they had shitty ratings, they were propping them up, and that was all across the country. No matter where I went, I could get Rush Limbaugh and that lineup of right-wing fucking assholes, and almost nothing for the left side until Air America came out. I just sort of stumbled upon Air America, and that was also, I believe, in 2004. And I was up in Portland, and I came across a station there, and the first person I heard actually was this guy who I thought was Rush Limbaugh, but he was saying some things that were pretty reasonable, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Did Rush Limbaugh have a head injury or something? And it turned out to be fucking Ed. Well, Ed, God, was Ed, fucking Ed, and he passed away. Ed. I can't remember his name. I must be getting some early decline here, but Ed. God, I hate it when I'm blanking out. But and then that station, it turned out to be like this Air America station, and then I heard Randy Rhodes on. I started listening to her, and I was like, oh my God, she's awesome. I've never listened to a radio show where the host is talking about things and where I agree like 100% of the time. So for a little brief window there, we had Air America, or even shows that came out of that era they say they were never Air America, but the channels that were playing Air America shows were also playing these other shows like Stephanie Miller or whatever. But still, even then, they were only. And I would find these stations as I was driving across the country. They were only on a handful of stations. I think at their biggest, they had 100 stations. Like Rush Limbaugh and that whole media group. They were on 800, 900, 1,000 stations all across the country. And And these Air America, maybe they peaked at, maybe they got to a couple hundred at the most. It was kind of short-lived. It wasn't very well organized. Apparently, the people who organized it turned out to be crooks or something. But out of that, that's where I created the progressive radio station list. Because as I was driving across country, I would just find these other stations, these other stations that were being run that were airing, like Randy Rhoads and Al Franken had a show, Rachel Maddow had a show back then, all that kind of stuff. And I created the progressive radio station list, and I put that on Facebook. I still have that channel, and now I use that channel basically just to share. I just share like links to this show and to Liberal Dan and to Hal Sparks and Tara Devlin, Tara Buster, all that, anything like I just kind of share that. And I haven't added. I had to take a few names off the list because around 2010, when Mitt Romney's company was buying up these liberal stations and turning them into sports formats or putting Rush Limbaugh back on them, I took a few of those off the list, and then I stopped doing it because it was just breaking my heart. So the list is not really accurate now. A lot of those stations might not even exist, or they might have been reformatted to either right wing or to sports, because Lord knows we need more sports stations. They would do that. They would already have 2 or 3 sports stations in a market, and then I guess it was Cumulus or somebody was buying out these stations that were running the liberal talk shows, and they were converting them to sports, even though they already had 2 or 3 sports stations in that city or that area. So anyhow, that's my story about that. Jen Up the Base says Trucker John maybe is doing a lot of heavy lifting with your non-romanticized view of the Harris presidency. Okay, talk about Hal Sparks always talks about hills he's going to die on. I'm going to die on the hill that we would be fucking better off by 1 billion times if Kamala Harris had won. Okay, I'm going to die on that hill. You can go ahead and be a fucking secret closet maggot all you want, but I'm going to die on the hill that Kamala Harris, if she had won, we would be in a much, much better place than we are now. And that's not romanticizing. That's nowhere near romanticizing. Romanticizing would be like, we would all be farting rainbows if Kamala Harris had won, and we'd all have chocolate milk coming out of our faucets or something like that. That's romanticizing. I'm not romanticizing. So it seems like you were a shit snob. Sad. Shaking my head. Yeah, I am. When it comes to shits, I'm very particular about what I'm shitting or what's causing the shit. Jennifer Bass says Rush is why we are here in the divided states of America, and I'll agree with you there on that. Big part of it. Groove Dragon says work on winning the House, stop Trumpo, the fascist clown, from having any control over the elections, get out the vote like never before. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And that's absolutely right, Groove Dragon. I mean, we can go back and forth about woulda, coulda, shouldas, and if Kamala had won and only this and only that. But yeah, you're right. We need to focus now on the future, on 2026. Let's win back the House. Let's win the Senate. Let's fucking castrate fucking Trump. Legally and feasibly. I guess I'd have to say that. Metaphorically. But you're absolutely right. Let's look. We can't do anything about the past, but only thing we can really do about the past, hopefully, is to learn from it. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's have a huge turnout in 2026 for the congressional elections of 2026. And, otherwise we really are super, super duperly fucked. Owen says, I worked with a crew that listened to that crap all day at work after 9/11. Yep, the whole lot of them almost got me, but I'd look into where the lies came from. I was 21. Well, good for you for, not just taking it at face value, all that shit you were hearing, and you actually, you know, showed a little independence and looked into this stuff on your own. Groove Dragon, work on winning the House now. Absolutely, I know. That's true. We need to get back and get focused on that. I agree. MJ Daniel says, I always hated Rush, but I listened to Art Bell a lot in the 90s. Not quite as fun now that all of most insane callers are running the U.S. government. Yeah, I used to listen to Art Bell, and those were interesting, especially if I was driving and it was late at night or something, and I was driving. Then Art Bell was interesting to listen to. And then when he left, and it was like George Norrie, and they had other people, and it was still like the weird stuff that they would do, but it was getting more and more political. Like each year, it got a little bit more political, a little more right wingy. Whether Art Bell, whatever his politics were, he pretty much kept that out, I think, of his shows, and he just kept to the sort of what paranormal or the odd stuff. George Norrie just could not keep his right wing bullshit at bay. Schultz, there you go, Ed Schultz, thank you, Schultz. MJ, he was good. Big Hook, his American pronunciation of Canuck is off, but I won't hold it against Trucker John. He hasn't been in Canada, so we will forgive him. And plus, I'm trying to rhyme it with Big Hook, Canuck. Maybe it is Canuck, but for the, I'll take a little poetic license there and rhyme it. Chris Doug, Ed Schultz was pro-union and championed the American working class. Yeah. He was, until the end there, something happened towards the end where he went to Russia television, and I don't know, I remember he kind of said some weird things, but I'll forgive him for that. Overall, was good, especially before that RT days there. Owen 1793 says, truckers are a captive audience, sad form of brainwashing. There are, you have a lot of hours in the day where you're sitting there and in the truck and you're listening to stuff. Okay, I'm just kind of skipping down. Damon Dog, I like Schultz, Oberman, Maddow lineup back in the day. I guess that was that the MSNBC lineup or whatever. Groove Dragon says, I phoned in and shut Rush Limbaugh the fuck up. I explained how Dick Cheney scammed the New York Times and got the story of Iraq having yellow cake code for nuclear material planted. Wow, that's pretty awesome. Jen at the base says, Trucker John, you nailed it. I'm a closet bag. Come on, TJ. Of course, we'd be better off, but this racist cancer runs deep and has a should have loaded money. Yeah, I see who you really are, man. I see who you really are. I'm just kidding you. with you. MJ Daniel says, Harris would not have been any more close to this bad. Americans had 2 chances to elect a qualified woman and chose the senile sex offender instead. And I think that is sad. Groove Dragon says, Vin Cheney, when explaining the reason for going to war with Iraq, he said, well, the New York Times said he has yellow cake. Okay, yes, so after he leaked it to them or whatever. Yeah, it was all set up. Yeah, that whole thing. John Glad Schultz died. Yeah, he died a few years ago. I think he died of cancer or heart. I think it might have been a heart attack. I don't know. But yeah, unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. The Lucky Minute, I still listen to Art. Yeah, I guess they do reruns because he's passed away now too, right? Big Hook. When word gets out that immigrants deported to third world countries where they don't speak the same language have died, do these ICE agents get charged with accessory to murder, or do we not take it? I think it's rhetorical. I guess I don't know if there's an answer to that, other than the fact that ultimately Donald Trump needs to be held accountable, not to let these officers, so-called officers, off the hook for the way they're acting, but ultimately, Donald Trump needs to be held accountable for he's brought all this on him, and and of course his little people that are whispering in his ear, like Stephen Miller and Peter Thiel. The Lucky Minute says Nori has jumped the shark. I haven't listened to that show probably since I was driving, and it's been almost 3 years now since I drove. But I know that when I would listen to it, I just couldn't listen to it because he definitely was letting his personal politics get involved with that show, and that's not why you listen to that show. You listen to that show to listen to all the weird, kooky, either UFO stuff or stuff about ghosts, and all that kind of shit. John Glass says he died in 2018. I think. Are we talking about Ed Schultz? Or I guess that was Schultz. Or Art Bell. They may have died the same year. I don't know. But yeah, so it's been a while now since Ed Schultz passed away. Yeah, Coast to Coast Radio. Nick Rich 4:57 Eastern time. Gotta go. All right, yeah, I gotta go too. Or we should all go. Thanks for being here, Nick Rich. Thanks everyone for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day of this Labor Day weekend. I'm just looking real quick here. Yeah, thanks for spending a little time with me on Labor Day. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you have plans for barbecue with family and friends, please do that. Enjoy yourself. Just remember all the workers who and we're all part of that working class, most of us. So we shouldn't have too hard of a time thinking about what it took to get those ribs to your grill, or to get your grill to your patio. Thank the workers in the fields. Like I say, documented or undocumented, it doesn't matter. They're the ones that are getting your food. Thank your truck drivers for getting it to the stores. Thank your union. Thank the unions. You may not be in a union, but thank unions for things like holidays and holiday pay and all of that. So I'll see you guys again tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time, right here on the Trucker John live stream. Thanks to all the new subscribers. We're at over 3,970. You guys are awesome. Pretty soon I'll be eating a dandelion. Whether it's a real dandelion or an edible, I don't know. I haven't really gotten the feedback of whether it's okay that I change that to being an edible or whatever. But we'll figure something out at 4,000. We're getting close. So thank you so much. And what else is going on? Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. I guess Hal's going to be on again today at 3, about an hour from now. So about an hour, you got Hal if you want to go back and listen to more stuff. I don't know if Liberal Dan's coming on tonight. Jolie says Liberal Dan will be on tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time. So be sure and check Liberal Dan on. Go over there, give him a like, give him a subscribe. Jolie reminding us about channel memberships. We did get a couple new members today, so that's awesome. We've got new memberships. They start at $1.99 a month. I think that's a great deal. And you can also like, subscribe, and share. And you can also do the Buy Me a Coffee thing. David Dog says, take care, everyone. And a big thank you, Jen and Roxanne, for the steak and desserts. Oh, that's right. I kind of skipped over that, but apparently they sent Damon Dog a steak and dessert. I'm still smiling. So that was very nice of you. Even if you are a closet maggot, I should not say that. I'm sorry, Jen. I'm kidding around, but sometimes jokes can be not nice, and so I apologize. But anyhow, you guys are all great. Jen and Roxanne and Damon Dog, and all you guys are awesome. And Jolie, thank you so much for being here. There's the PayPal link. Aaron was here earlier. Thanks to Aaron. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. And so I guess all that is really left to do is the words of wisdom. And so get your piece of paper to write this down. It might be something you want to read later. I don't know. All right. So for today's words of wisdom, they go as follows. Okay. So.
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes, might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes, but if we did, I'd be only too glad. So hasta la vista, baby. The show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. All screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid. But doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where right here on the Trucker John live stream. Know it's time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food and movies and bugs, shining a light on all the social issues. No shows, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. For free. to take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights, you've gotta learn to ignore the glitter. It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love, it's all about the thrills. It's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows. So go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road, just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret, it'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. It's so damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life, everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot, you're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along.